I was always a fairly positive person before my stroke.
Stroke's a problem with the blood supply to the brain, just like heart attack's a problem with the blood supply to the heart. And there are really two main types. One is the most common, we call ischemic stroke, where there's a blocked blood vessel in the brain. And the clot that blocks the vessel usually comes from somewhere else, either the heart or the neck vessels. Floats up to the brain, blocks a vessel, and as soon as you block a blood vessel, the part of the brain that supplies stops functioning. So someone might become weak down one side, have trouble talking, their face might droop, and they have trouble with vision or attention to one side of space. And our aim is to try and fix that plumbing problem as quickly as possible. So if we can open the artery quickly, a lot of that brain that would otherwise progress to die can be saved, and the patient can recover some of those functions.
I went to bed as normal on the Sunday night. It was Mother's Day and I was thrashing around in bed.
So one of the really helpful things in Shannon's case is her husband recognised the stroke immediately and saw that there was a facial droop, inability to talk, weakness down one side, called 000 immediately and said, I think she's having a stroke, and that primes the system. The ambulance are then dispatched as a suspected stroke. When they get there, they agree it looks like a suspected stroke, they know where to take that patient.
My initial reaction to Shannon having a stroke was disbelief and shock, very emotional at the time, what was going on, and trying not to panic too much, which I did, certainly did panic a lot.
The ambulance officers came and they couldn't get me out of bed. I couldn't get me out because I was between the window and the bed, so they struck me into a hover mat and dragged me down the hallway of our house. I remember seeing Gemma holding the dog in the doorway of her room, and I began to cry. I was at Box Hill Emergency at approximately 6 a.m. and I was diagnosed with a left middle cerebral artery stroke, and it was a clot. So they called another ambulance and I was transferred to the Royal Melbourne Hospital for clot retrieval.
So Shannon presented initially to a hospital that was able to deliver an intravenous thrombolytic, so that's the clot dissolving medicine, and then she was transferred across to the Royal Melbourne Hospital for a clot retrieval procedure. And so that was an angiogram where they put that small tube into the groin artery, fed it up all the way up into the brain, and were able to remove the clot that was blocking the artery.
It was my father's 70th birthday that day. So what was thought to be a phone call to say happy birthday to my father was actually Stuart calling with the devastating news that their only daughter had a stroke. I had speech therapy and OT. I didn't have physio because I was walking the next day. It was more quicker at the start. I still have verbal dyspraxia and aphasia, and I still have right hand weakness, but I had no usable function in my right hand after the stroke. So now I can do this and I can do exercises with my hand. I use the TENS machine. I was in inpatient rehab for 15 days, and I used the TENS machine 3 times a day, and they gave me exercises to do, and I've got 85% of my hand function back, and my speech is, I say I've got 95% of my speech back. I talk a lot slower, and compared to what I was before, and I am clearer in my speech because I try to get the words out properly first time, every time. I was always a fairly positive person before my stroke, but I'm a fairly positive person now. But I saw a clinical psychologist last year to help deal with the loss of and the grief, because I was grieving because I felt the loss of the person I was beforehand, and but yeah, I'm pretty positive, and I thought to myself after the stroke, if I can survive this, I can survive anything.